Good evening, it's 8 o'clock and my name is Mbuyiseni Ndlozi and welcome to a special edition of As It Happens. In my everyday life, I am the EFF Member of Parliament and Commissar responsible for communications in the EFF, partaking in an anti-white, anti-capitalist, anti-imperialist revolution in pursuit of economic freedom in our lifetime. But tonight, I'm your host in this wide monopoly capitalism platform, or at least many of us think so. I also have a special guest with me. This is also a chance for you to ask me any questions which I will be answering live on TV on eNCA. Use the number 011-759-6340 and send your videos via WhatsApp on 082-884-6370. And also tweet me on @Mbuyiseni Ndlozi or @eNCA. Please use the hashtag As It Happens.
From Cape to Cairo, Morocco to Madagascar, Adionia, Zania, Israel.
Before we go any further, I would like to call on all men in our country to join in a self-negation war against toxic masculinity and patriarchy. By masculinity, I mean how we perform our manner of being men to women. The women who gave birth to us, who grew us up, women we claim to love, women who work with and for us, and all the young women out there, young girls out there. We men must fight against the violent way of being men to these women. We must call each other out and never protect abusers in our midst. Women's bodies are not made for us. We have no entitlement to them, even if we pay lobola or mavuso. A woman's no means no. Each man must confront the culture of rape, and it starts with confronting yourself, facing the darkness in us that is perpetuated by the widespread and sometimes celebrated impression that women's bodies are mere tools of sexual satisfaction and making babies. This is the foundational attitude for a widespread culture of violence against women. It must stop. And each man tonight must say, it stops with me. To all the ladies out there, remember at all times, love without justice is evil. So, eNCA asked its viewers to send questions they would like me to answer. Here we go, and on to the first question via WhatsApp video.
Good evening, Dr. Mbuyiseni Ndlozi. My name is Khorano Kekana from Alexandra. You know, with the unsigned coalition that you have with the Democratic Alliance as the EFF, a party to which, in my view, with the EFF has extremely irreconcilable policies or ideas. One which the EFF has always been advocating for and that we can use as a point of example is on the issue of land expropriation without compensation in the interest of the black majority. Now, the question that I have that actually bothers me so much is that at whose interest are you serving as the EFF, or are you just a party of a minority that is self-absorbed about their own interest and not in the interest of their people? Whose interest are you really serving as the EFF? Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. It's a long ago answered question. We're not in a coalition with the DA. Coalition would mean we are co-governing. It would mean, for instance, I would have taken a position as a mayor or as an MMC. We're not in that situation. We're still in the opposition benches. And we serve the interests, as we have always indicated, of the working class, particularly black people, in relation to the attainment of land, in relation to nationalization of banks, making sure that there is a lot of finance capital for black talent that is out there, and that's why we have to nationalize the banks. And so that's really what we are. And young as a political party as we are, we're always caught between two evils: a corrupt option called the ANC, and on the other hand, a white monopoly driver called the DA. And we've had to juggle the positions between the two. And we think that the outcome of the local government elections gave us an opportunity to rescue the state from the abuse of the ANC. But the future is still open. It's not closed. And we'll always go into it in the interests of the poor and in particular black people. Let's go to the second one.
My question is, I just want to know that why people living with disability are not considered like normal people when they request something from our country that need to be done, like stadium and other things. You find that people who live in disability, they don't have shelters, buildings, transport and other things. And even the people who are caring for these people, they are working hard 24 hours, but they're not taking as serious, they're not taken as serious. So I just want to know whether if these Matupili principles are not covering the people who are living with disability.
Thanks. That's actually a very great question. A lot of our spaces, particularly in townships, are not well organized for people with disabilities. In the taxi ranks, even in land occupation struggles that we are engaged in, we have to be considerate of creating spaces for people with disabilities, people on wheelchairs, people who are blind, people who are deaf. It's a very fundamental question, and all of society ought to be mobilized to be conscious of that reality. I realize that even here on eNCA, there still has to be a great policy of access for people with disabilities. That means in all spaces, in the head offices of the EFF, in the hospitals, all public spaces. So I agree, and perhaps I want to make a commitment that it will be one of the main issues that we will begin to speak much on as the EFF.
Dr. Ndlozi, who do you think will be the electoral beneficiaries on the land expropriation without compensation between those who propose and those who will be implementing the policy?
Well, the benefits of land expropriation without compensation has to be all South Africans, black and white. And why we have to equally distribute the land after we expropriate it is because when we have equally distributed the land, it will begin to finally reflect the demographics of the country. The land distribution process must not benefit politicians, their families, their spouses. It mustn't benefit only chiefs and kings. The land has to go in terms of its benefit to the ground, to the people who must be able to use it and who actually need it for use every day. So that policy is about all of us, black and white, being able to attain the ability to call this country a home. And so that's why we're going to engage in that policy. After the break, I'm speaking to my special guest from the circles of white monopoly capitalism. Stay tuned to As It Happens. See you after the break.